Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. I'm Hammer. I'm joined by my two favorite Wednesday hosts, Genty Maxie.
Hello.
And Terry Diamantis.
Hello.
And on YouTube this week, it's Jen's avatar that's not working. Yeah. Yay! It's not me. I'm just happy about me. I'll fix that in a second. Let me get through this startup and I'll take a few moments. Well, I really have to rewrite that.
It's okay.
Instead of being a close-up of Tier, it's a close-up of Justin Trudeau.
It's just whack-a-mole. I fix this and that breaks. You know, I'm just gonna have to rewrite it. Screw it. How you doing today, Jen?
I'm good.
How you doing today, Terry?
Yeah, not bad.
I'm a little sore today. Did some around the house kind of stuff. I think I mentioned last week I was working on the lawnmower and I forgot to change the filter. So my brother came up and we tilted the lawnmower on his side. That lawnmower is a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. You know, I mean, I have a motorcycle. I had to pick that up, and that's quite the thing. But I was like, this is not only is this heavy, but it's awkward. It's designed to be flat. It's like trying to pick up a car. And a motorcycle, you know, it's just 2 tires. This is 4 tires, and it's heavy. But managed to get the filter on, and everything's good there. And I did some work. We have like these really cheesy, cheap table and chairs in the front of the house. We have like a patio in the front of the house, raised. And my parents bought this really cheap plastic. It was awful. It just didn't make the house look nice. But they had in storage this real nice glass table with 4 glass and copper chairs, just gorgeous. So I got the stuff out of storage, and I have nowhere to put this plastic crap. So I got out the Sawzall and I cut it all up. So imagine trying to hold a Sawzall with one hand, you know, it's like 40 pounds, and then hold a plastic chair with the other hand and trying to cut through it. I almost killed myself several times. So that was that. I'm all sore from doing that, but in general though, everything's good. I don't feel sick. I had some potatoes, so I'm not hungry for a change. I'll be in a much better mood. I guarantee you. Before we get to topics, Terry, why don't you go ahead and say hello to our fans.
Let's see who we've got. There was a Tier over in Rumble and Green Badger, who is indoors.
He's indoors.
Rumble, I believe. And those seem to be the only 2 over on Rumble. Over here on YouTube, we've had Kivadam and Mr. Adam as well. Cool. Tier has joined us as well. Cynic. Yes, hello to all of you.
Hello.
Excellent. I probably have to go through the topics this week a little bit more detail because I've got a couple of them here. Usually it's 2 or 3. We have 4, and they're kind of complicated. We might actually have something to talk about. First one, a play on the movie with Jim Carrey, Liar Liar. Tucker was on stage. I couldn't pin down where it was, and the video that I got didn't have any banners on it. It wasn't CNN or Fox News or anything like that. It was just a video. It wasn't there wasn't anything like NBC or any of that kind of stuff. It was just a raw video of him on stage in front of a podium talking about Gretchen Whitmer, that lady in Wisconsin. Yeah. I think it's Wisconsin, right?
No, I think what state's Monkey in? Because Gretchen Whitmer is his governor.
Okay, I don't know where he is. I know it begins with. Is it Minnesota, Michigan?
Michigan, that's the one.
Michigan. Okay, so it's Michigan. I keep naming things. I got 50 chances of getting it right. So he was talking about Gretchen Whitmer and how terrible she is. But then he turned and got into Greg Abbott. Now, Tucker is kind of on the right a little bit, and Abbott's on the right. So it was kind of interesting to hear somebody on the right go after somebody on the right. It was refreshing. Obviously, you can't cuck the tuck, right? He's going to say it like it is. So I was both concerned, what is he doing? But what he said was very true. So we're actually going to play the audio. I have the video, but I'm too lazy to try to get the video to come to you guys and our everybody viewing this show. So I'll just play the audio like I do for the music, and you guys can listen to it. And I'll stop it a couple times. Hopefully we won't get taken down, or there's nothing on the video that says it's from anybody. So I have no idea. Hopefully no one will come after us. That's the first topic. Captured. I don't know if you guys been keeping up with this, because I live in Pennsylvania, so I have to keep up with this. But there was a felon who had killed somebody, and he was in jail, and he broke out of jail and started traveling through Pennsylvania as a fugitive. And they finally caught him, but it's been like a week and a half. It took them to track him down and get him. And it was kind of, I'll tell you the story, it was kind of fortuitous that they got him, because he could have kept going if he didn't make one little mistake. And that's what it always comes down to. You make one little mistake and you're caught.
Yeah.
And that's what captured is. The third topic is shot down. This has nothing to do with the F-15 or F-18 or Ukraine or anything like that. The governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham, I think her name is. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. Lujan. That's Lujan, right? I guess.
Just call her Lujan.
Lujan. Her attempt at circumventing the Second Amendment has been thwarted by Judge David Urias, Urias, who said, no, can't do this. Violate the Second Amendment. Not going to do it. Not going to happen. So that's dead in the water. Not that the DA for New Mexico and the sheriff of Albuquerque were planning on upholding her decree either. That wasn't going to happen. But now it's a federal court saying no, you can't, or a state court saying no, you can't do that. So it's dead.
Good.
So, and there was a couple other things in the news. Elon was in the news and all that kind of stuff. We might get to that. I don't know. But those are the topics for tonight. So we can go through those, or unless you guys have something else.
No, I think we can discuss those. The hang on, let me look it up again. I
just read them to you.
The Tucker one. I blanked on it. So yeah, I think if that's got the audio component, maybe we start with that. So
all right,
and play that for everyone. And
okay, well, yeah, let's get the show canceled. Why not?
Well, I mean,
start off with a bang.
Yeah,
we'll find out if it's. I mean, I think it'll just be a claim. I don't think they'll strike the channel over it.
No, we'll see. Well, here's the audio.
How many Texans do you think are all on board with letting 7 million people cross into their state illegally? What percentage? Zero. I don't care what your race or national origin. Nobody is for that. That's insane. Has the governor of Texas done anything meaningful to stop that? No. The Republican governor? He's got a National Guard. He's the commander-in-chief of the National Guard, and it's Texas, so they're all large.
I guess that was a joke. They're all large because everything's bigger in Texas.
Oh,
I guess that was the point. The joke he was making. Nobody laughed. I caught it, but I didn't think it was particularly funny. And I don't understand where he said that the Texas governor was in charge of the border, not the border. The what did he call it? I can rewind it.
How many Texans do you think are all on board with letting 7 million people cross stack magazines in their sidearms? You think they couldn't stop that in a week if they? Of course, he's the commander-in-chief of the National Guard.
That's where it was. He's the commander-in-chief of the National Guard. Why would a Texas governor be the commander-in-chief of the National Guard? National Guard is a federal agency. Does he mean the state?
That doesn't make sense.
Maybe he's talking about the state National Guard? Is that even a thing?
Well, the national part kind of
makes it sound federal.
That it's not a state level thing.
Yeah. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, let's
Texas,
continue.
so they're all large. And they have double-stack magazines in their sidearms. You think they couldn't stop that in a week if they? Of course. Just assemble along the border. We're not doing this. No, he refuses to do that.
Assemble on the border. So I guess what he's saying is put a National Guardsman every couple hundred feet, or maybe I don't know what the distance would be between. I don't know how many National Guard people we have. That's a pretty big state. So I'm not sure what he's talking about. Just post them along the border. I mean, you have to feed these people. They have to have places to go to the bathroom. How's it logistically going to work? I don't know.
I think you let them pee in the river so that the illegal immigrants have to swim through it to get.
Yeah, I could say something.
It's
I'm
not like
going to
no one
pass.
suggested. I've suggested to him 3 times, including in private at a cocktail party in Dallas.
In private?
What are you doing, man? Don't you have a National Guard? Why don't you seal the border? Oh, it's very complicated. No, it's not. No, it's not.
You hear the guy in the background? Tucker says, it's not complicated. Yeah, guy in the background says, no, it's not. I'm like, he's agreeing with him.
If someone's trying to break into my house, it's not complicated.
Round of
You're a public
applause.
person. Do you have a
Round of
firearm or
applause.
don't you? Are you willing to defend your house and your children, or aren't you? Well, it's more complicated. That really, tell me how. Speak slowly so I can understand. It's not more complicated than that. It's more dishonest than that. You're lying to me. You don't want to do it because your donors don't want you to do it. It's that simple. Greg Abbott. Liar. Liar. And worse than liar, betrayer. Of your own
Ouch.
people. That's what that is.
I was so hoping he'd say worse than liar, pants on fire.
That would have given him. That would have given him some laughs. People would have laughed at that. So yeah, pretty brutal. Because Tucker doesn't. I don't know if I ever remember Tucker really pulling punches. Maybe a little bit under his Andrew Tate interview, he was a little soft on that. But when he sees something wrong, he doesn't care if you're Democratic or Republican.
No,
You know,
no,
it
not
appears. Yeah, it makes him seem like an honest guy. I'm not gonna pull my punches. I don't care who it is.
Well, that's what you want. You want someone who's going to actually be honest and like not cover up things because it makes quote unquote their side look bad. You want someone who's going to be like, you fuck up, I'm going to call you out. I don't care left, right, center, up, down, middle, whatever. You do something I don't like, I'm going to talk about it.
You have to keep something in mind that Tucker's a journalist. He's not a politician.
No.
So when Abbott says, well, it's complicated, he may not be able to tell Tucker what's complicated about it. And there might be complications that actually do prevent him from doing that. I know that the floaty things that he's putting on the river, that the federal government ordered them to take that out of there.
Ah.
So there is some kind of something, because it is the function of the federal government to protect our border, not the states.
Right. That makes sense.
So when he says it's complicated, and Tucker says, no, it's not. Well, Tucker's not a governor. So how does he know? That was my only question about it.
Yeah. I can see why it seems uncomplicated, like from just a sort of a layman's perspective, like where it's just like, well, why don't you just do this? If you're in the actual, position of, leading the state, then obviously there's more to it. Like there's obviously, regulations you've got to follow, red tape, all that kind of stuff that sort of makes things more difficult. But
Yeah.
I can understand why Tucker thinks it's a pretty simple solution.
He sees it from our perspective. We don't have all the information. Jim, what did you think of the clip?
I was Tucker being Tucker. Sorry, I got my neighbors mowing the lawn. It's like 7:15.
It wouldn't be a Wednesday show if that didn't happen.
Right?
To
I'm just
somebody.
used to it from Terry. I'm like, that makes sense. It's like 10 o'clock your time. That makes sense. It's 7:15 my time.
Yeah, it's 11:15 in the morning here.
Yeah. But that makes sense to me because it's during the day. Knowing as it is.
yeah, of course.
So I thought it was interesting. There was a lot more to that. I didn't want to do the whole thing because it's like 4.5 minutes. It would, made the show a little longer. That would be nice. But most of the first part of it wasn't really talking about policy. Then he got into how terrible Whitmer is. And then he ended up with Abbott. And there was some time after too, but he kind of wandered after that. So I didn't bother adding that into the clip. So A couple of
I only have secondhand information, but I don't like Gretchen Whitmer. There's just everything I've heard about her makes me not like her.
yeah. I mean, Monkey talks about her pretty regularly, and he's not the only one who doesn't like her. So
no.
I mean, there was technically a threat on her life. That's how much people hated her. So yeah, I can understand.
I don't hate her that much. I don't want her to die.
No, don't want to be taken to prison for it. I cut that clip out of a YouTube, or not YouTube, out of Twitter. There's a website that allows you to take Twitter videos and put them into a file on your PC, MP4 file. And when Windows 11, I think I mentioned this maybe a month or two ago, when Windows 11 came out and they did the first major update to it, it broke the program I use for editing. I use DaVinci Resolve. And no matter what you did, the output bit rate for the audio was limited to 128. Even if you had something come in that was like super high, like 1500 or even 512 or 384, which is a typical MP3 file, it would knock everything down to 128. So it sounded scratchy and monotone, and there was no bass to it. And it's been like that for 5 or 6 months now. And I put in requests to have them fix it. Keep putting in requests. And they come out with new versions of Resolve, but they never fixed it. So what I was going to do is I'm going to take my server and make it Windows 10. It ran fine under Windows 10. And I was going to do that. It's like, all right, I have to wipe out everything on my server and write everything down on Windows 10. And it's an older operating system. I didn't want to do it. So before the show tonight, I had to cut this video to trim it for the show. And I started up Resolve, and it said this new version out. I'm like, oh, another new version. Because they update pretty regularly. It's like 13.8.1 instead of 13.8.0. I was like, fine. Only takes a minute to update, so I let it update. And I brought the clip in, and I edited it down, and I saved it. And then I right-clicked on it, and I said, what's the bit rate on this? It was 384. It's like they fixed it. So all these movies I've been wanting to edit and fix and do stuff with should all work again. So I'm a very happy guy. I know you guys are all, I know everybody was very worried about this.
Oh yeah. I was losing sleep.
Yeah. So that might be the reason why I'm in a good mood too. Is I'm looking forward to all the work I have to do now. There's a Star Trek movie. I can't remember which movie it is. I could probably look it up, but there's a Star Trek movie where the Enterprise is in Stardock, and Kirk sits down in his chair and he says, "Take us out, full impulse. You're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be thrusters only. Full impulse is way too fast." And it's a whole scene. You know, Savick turns around and says, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And Spock's like, "Don't listen to her. Do what you want to do. You're the captain."
Yeah.
And it's a very stock, typical Paramount graphics in that thing. And there's this guy who redoes scenes from science fiction movies, and he redoes all the graphics for them. And he ties the movie in to make it look like you just took a part of the movie out and you're just playing a part of the movie. But he puts all of his graphics in instead. And his graphics are much better than what Paramount did. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the original movie and swap parts, put his in, and just say, that's the movie now. Not that I don't like Paramount, but his is just noticeably better. I mean, it's noticeably better because those things that you never see in Star Trek. You know, you'll hear the people say port thrusters or something like that, and they never actually show you what happens when you do that. They don't show the outside of the ship or what the thrusters do or what they look like or any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when the Enterprise is lining up to leave Stardock, you actually see the thrusters moving the ship around. So it's like, and it as far as you can tell, it's like it's professionally done. It's just absolutely gorgeous. There's no way I would ever know that it wasn't done by Paramount. You know, it's
That's
just
impressive.
quality. Yeah, it's very quality. So what I wanted to do is swap them out and then have my girlfriend watch it and see if she notices anything. So yeah, that's put me in a good mood. And all the things I got taken care of today with the lawnmower and the chairs and all that kind of stuff, I'm in a pretty happy mood. So Process says on YouTube, Hammer, I have DaVinci on Windows 11. You do, and it works, except take a file that's got a high audio bit rate. If you haven't already gotten what was it, 18.2.1 or whatever it is, as long as you don't have the one that came out just recently, you know, one that's maybe like a couple of weeks old, bring in an audio file that's like 512 or 384 bit rate, set it to 5.1, and then export it. And no matter what you set for its audio bit rate on the output, because I use MP4 files, it'll come out as 128 no matter what you do. No matter what you set it for, you go back and look at it, and it's 128. They finally fixed it. So anyway, not many people use that feature, but I use it, you know, on everything I edit. So I always want the audio to sound good. Jen, do you want to pick one of the categories?
No,
I don't.
that was a bit of an echo too.
We have captured, shot down, and no workie-workie.
Well, I am glad to hear about the shot down, but I was kind of more curious about the fugitive trying to bury himself. That
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. So like I said, I live in Pennsylvania. This happened in Pennsylvania. Basically this guy is incarcerated in a jail. There's an area where there's a hallway that doesn't have a roof. So what he does is he puts his feet against one side of the hallway and his hands against the other, and he crab walks up the ledge onto the top of the building, then gets a running start and jumps off the building and that's how he gets out of the prison. So they find out that he's missing at night when they do like the roll call thing at night, and they realize he's not there anymore. They didn't actually see him leave. So they start a manhunt, but everywhere around this prison, I don't know exactly where in Pennsylvania it is, but I know it's southeast. Everywhere around this prison is all like wooded area and a lot of forests, and it's hard to navigate. A lot of hills, that kind of thing. Rough terrain, I guess you could say. So the cops start looking for him. They set up a perimeter, and then they realize he's gotten out that perimeter. They have to set up a new perimeter, and people are friends of him are helping him get away, that kind of thing. So he gets to a certain area that's close to, actually not too far from me. It's about 35 minutes from me. And he tries to get into somebody's house and didn't know that there was an alarm on the house. So he makes an attempt to open the house up. The alarm goes off and he leaves. So the cops realize that somebody tried to get in. So they even though they don't have any video or anything like that, they send a bunch of people up there anyway, a bunch of cops up there just to check it out kind of deal. And one of the things they do is they send a helicopter up with infrared so it can look down for heat signatures on the ground. And apparently this guy heard the helicopter coming. So he dug himself a shallow grave and pulled some old rotten logs over top of himself to hide his heat signature. Pretty smart for a con. Yeah. And the helicopter didn't see his outline. They didn't see a human being. They didn't see through, but he didn't cover himself well enough. So they still saw heat signatures. It just didn't look like a human. So they said, well, we don't know what this is. Let's find out. So they had the police officers on the ground send a dog into the area. The dog was able to sniff him, even though he's partially covered. And the dog bit him and he screamed. So all the cops converged on him, and that's how they caught him. His name was Daniello Cavalcante. Very, very interesting name. I don't know what that is. Cavalcante. Is that Spanish? Cavalcante.
Could be. Or Italian or something
he
like
could
that.
He could be a vampire. Cavalcante.
Yeah.
Daniello.
I was hoping you'd say, and his name was Sam Hyde.
Yeah, Sam Hyde. Infamous Sam Hyde. So that's the story. he was working his way towards me. He was on the southeast. I'm on the northeast. So he's heading my way. And he had a rifle with him. He stole a rifle. So he had bad intent. He killed somebody in Brazil and then came here and then killed somebody here. That's how this all started. So
he doesn't sound like a very nice person.
it's big. It was big enough news that it was on CNN.
Okay.
So it was, I mean, it was all over ABC, NBC, and CBS up here for local television. It was all over that. I mean, you couldn't miss it. You turn TV on, it's playing on one channel somewhere. We will break in on this broadcast to bring you the latest information. Oh, shut up. Put Castle back on. I'd rather watch a TV show. Anyway, so that's the whole rundown of what happened. So they finally caught him. He does look, he's got like a scraggly black beard, very unruly hair. Obviously he's been on the run for a week and a half, so he's not going to look, particularly well put together, but yeah, so that's what that was all about. I know the log story part of it is kind of weird, but he's trying to keep, from getting caught, considering all things that happened.
He was watching Predator. Maybe that's where he got the idea from.
Yeah, well, I mean, Arnold does that in the movie. He smears mud on himself and puts himself into a wall, and the predator just looks around him and just walks away.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah. Frosted says, as Norm MacDonald pointed out, never use a shallow grave. That's the first place the cops look.
that's another thing. Today's broadcast is designed to piss Frosted off because it's in 1440p.
Yeah, not 4K.
Instead of 4K, because we wanted to see if running the show at 4K was causing the burping problems we've been getting over the last couple of shows. So I haven't heard a word saying that there's anything wrong with either stream. So I assume that everything's okay.
Seems to be fine at my end.
Well, we usually find out pretty quick. People usually are like, "Oh, it's buffering."
Yeah, I've not seen any buffering at all.
All right. Well, I'm going to assume everything's okay. I'll run the show at 1440p. I've already proved that I can do 4K, so I don't have anything to prove anymore.
Yeah.
So until I get some kind of fiber in the house where I have like a couple gigs of upload bandwidth, I'll just run it at 1440p. I wanted to kind of branch out a little bit and add Twitter as a third destination for the show, because I think Twitter is going to be something that we want to try and see if we can do. It's not to say that I don't like Rumble, but there's a lot of people who are starting to use Twitter. So if I can figure out how to do it, having 3 shows, I might have to knock all my shows down to 1080p because I only have limited bandwidth.
Well, Frosted will never watch us again.
at least I'm not on dial-up like Monkey is, so I'm happy with that.
And Frosted says he's still waiting for the TV, so you got lucky.
We're safe at least for this week.
Yeah.
The thing is, Rumble won't do 4K. I've tried several times to try to find how to do it, and no matter what I set OBS for, it's 1080p every time. So I don't know what the deal is there. I like them all to be the same, if nothing else. So, last 2 topics: shot down and no workie-workie. I try to be clever with my names. I don't think I do a very good job, but
you do good. You do a good enough job.
Good enough job. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. Good enough. That's what our stream is all about, being just good enough.
Well, I mean, the show itself is good. I'm just saying
it's just me that's just good enough. Okay.
No.
I feel better now. Yeah. All right.
The titles are decent. I'm not going to say that they're brilliant or anything, but they're good enough. They get the point across.
If one of you want to do some of the canvassing for topics in the show, that's perfectly fine with me.
Oh,
Notice the quiet. Thanks for going along with me on that.
no, you can pick the topics. I'm just saying that the puns in the
Yeah.
title are they're good enough. They're
I'm
not.
not a comedian. I'm not a comedian. I'm never gonna get this right, but
See, I would do that, but then they'd all end up being about Canada, and I believe that the rest of the world exists, and you know, I don't mind doing the workie because like the last one, like I kind of know what it's about, but not really.
it's about the cold remedies, at least in the United States. I don't know if this is the same thing. It seems like every country has a list of things that they don't allow in their products.
Yes.
So this may not apply to everybody.
Well, in Australia, we used to use pseudoephedrine in cold and flu remedies, and then they discovered that you can make some sort of illegal drug with it. I don't know which one,
Oh,
but
okay.
whatever. And so now they've all got phenylephrine in it, and phenylephrine doesn't do fucking shit. It's completely worthless. So I just don't bother taking cold and flu medicine anymore because it's trash.
Well, apparently the FDA now agrees with you. Now they're not saying that phenylephrine doesn't. They're saying that it doesn't do what it's intended to do, but it is still safe. So they're not saying that you're in trouble or it's dangerous or anything like that, but they're just saying it's ineffective.
Yeah, it's worthless.
Yeah. So, yeah, like the FDA gets it right every time, you know?
Yeah.
Basically, they never get it right. There's so many things that have been pulled off the air. What was the last one? Cialis, I think, was the last one that they pulled off. It was causing damage. Of course, then there's the whole coof thing, but whatever.
Yep.
I've never actually taken a cold remedy. Have you?
Yeah.
I've taken cold and flu medicine.
Yeah. Have you taken that stuff?
Yeah. Makes you drowsy, kind of a little high.
I've never taken any of that stuff. No Theraflu or NyQuil or any of that. I've taken none of that. I never get that kind of sick. I never get like flus and colds and that kind of stuff. I never get those. Whenever I get sick, it's a stomach ache or, something like that. It's never cold. I have a really strong, that's maybe the reason why I never got the coof, is because I have a really strong system. It fights off everything.
Yeah,
maybe. But the things I get are not things that are like infections or viral. None of that I've never really gotten any of that. Even when I was a kid, I never did.
The nighttime flu medicine does help you sleep at least. So I mean, even if it does fuck all to fix your symptoms, it does at least knock you out at the end of the day. So there's that, I guess.
Getting a message. Good.
Well, it's just I kind of laugh at like the reason they pulled it out was because of ingredients that people figured out they could use to make high. I'm like, that's all over the shelf medication. They always find a way to make it something to use for recreational. Gravel does it too. We had to have our gravel behind the pharmacy because people would steal it and take too much of that. You get high off of it.
Yeah. Did they have phenylephrine in your cold medicine in Canada?
Probably, but I would say that it's not in everything.
Yours is more restricted. Canada is more restricted than the States. You can put almost anything in the States, but the UK is a lot tighter about that kind of stuff. I think you guys are more along the same as the UK. You don't allow a lot of stuff.
Not necessarily. We're not the UK. We're Canada.
Yeah.
Like there's some stuff we'll say no to, but we're on the border with you, so
you're not as stupid as we are, though.
No, not as stupid as you, but I mean, our McDonald's.
Thanks for agreeing.
Our fast food, all of that stuff is the same. Like if you went to your McDonald's and then to our McDonald's, you're like, yeah, I'm in the same place. So not everything is like the UK. Like a lot of it is. I would say it's probably one of those things where like we have it, but not everything is going to have it. But we also had shortages for a long time. So it could also just be that we just haven't had it yet.
Well, I don't know. It seems like if you're in the States, the FD doesn't really even protect you that much, from my perspective.
No.
It just seems like you can have the worst possible food on the planet. Not that our food doesn't taste good. You know, the McDonald's here and the McDonald's in the UK, the food is supposed to be healthier there, but it also tastes like cardboard. So by relatively, I don't know which way I would rather go. I think I'd rather have the food that's bad for you that tastes good. So what's the last one we have?
That was the shot down one with the
shot down. Right.
With the New Mexico lady trying to circumvent the Second Amendment, and the court's telling her no.
Yeah.
If you didn't see that interview, Terry, even as somebody who's not American, it was just an automatic, I hope you say fuck no. Like she's power rocking it.
See, the thing is, I don't even like guns. Like, I know, like, there's a big sort of pro-gun thing in America. I don't really like guns, but I recognize that Americans have a right to own them, and I think they should have a right to own them. And so, yeah, I mean, her saying, well, we can just invent emergencies to steal your rights. It's like, no, I probably shouldn't be saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Well, the judge said she can't do it. Judge David Arias, URIAS, said she couldn't do it. The judge's name was Michelle Grisham, and it's not like anybody was going to uphold her crazy idea anyway. The DA, Department of Justice for the state, both said, and the sheriff said that they weren't going to prosecute anybody if they walked around with their guns. They weren't going to search anybody. They were open county. And just a couple of days ago, there was a meeting in Albuquerque in the center of the town where they had like a couple hundred people walking around with guns, and nobody said anything to them.
It's Frosted in the Rumble chat says, "No, you crazy bitch," as a quote from the courts.
Mm-hmm. No, for real. Like this is that was one of those moments where I'm like, lady, you're treading on the lines of being almost a traitor. Like that Constitution should always mean something to everybody in your country, both sides, because you're using it for exactly the same reason why it was put in place. Like that was such a power grab. I'm like, you really should kick her out of office, or like I don't know what your legal system is, but there's this thing called impeachment. I don't know if it works on governors, but
it does.
Yeah, I would go that route.
The poll is out, guys, for tonight's music. We got 4 votes.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, hello, Jack.
Yes, I did tell him to come back later, but he refused.
We're gonna have to shut the stream down now.
Yeah.
So for those people who are on YouTube, go ahead and vote now, or forever hold your peace. It looks like Bad Company Classic Rock is taking the lead, 60%. Nobody voted for Eve 6. I'm surprised. That's a pretty popular song.
You guys, not.
Did you guys vote already?
Yep.
Yeah, I did.
I haven't voted yet. Well, Eve 6 is getting nobody, so I'll vote just to change the number.
Fair enough.
So we'll
I don't think you'll change the result. It seems pretty
fair. No, I think I'm tied for 3rd. I'm used to voting for the wrong thing anyway, so we'll let that go for a little bit. Anyway, I didn't really post this as something that I had for tonight, but you guys seen the latest interview with Elon Musk?
No.
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it. I have a
What did you hear?
thing I've saved, but so my understanding is it has to do with his move with Ukraine because he kind of wants to pull Starlink out of Ukraine, and they're taking that as a personal attack, and it looks like mudslinging.
Yep, that's one of the two things that I had on my list about Elon. So we can tackle that one first. Starlink is not available in Ukraine at the moment because the war is going on. And he doesn't want to take sides. So he's just leaving his business. He's keeping his business out of it. It's the right thing to do. You know, you guys fight, don't get me involved kind of deal. It's perfectly reasonable. But
Of course, yeah.
Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren, I think her name is,
Yeah,
Pocahontas wants to have Elon investigated for tampering in the war by not providing service. That's the issue that I had.
Silly.
Yeah. The other thing about Elon is he just did hosted a Q&A, ask me anything kind of deal. And he was asked what's going on with Twitter? Why is Twitter becoming right wing? And he says, it's exactly what he says. He says, it's not being right wing. He says, it's been left wing for so long that any move to the center appears to people on the left as going right wing. He says, even now, it's still left. He says, we haven't gotten to the center. He says, people who are on the right were getting kicked off and abused and all that kind of stuff. And he says, I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'm going to put Twitter in the center 80%, which struck a chord with me because I'm a centrist. He's talking my language now. You know, I'm going to put this dead center. Hey, you got my vote, you know, kind of deal. So there's been kind of a backlash from the left, and we'll see it we'll believe it when we see it from the right. So he's losing and losing.
He is holding to the idea that he wanted open conversation. I am going to call him out though, because his CEO is totally putting trips in his plans.
Yeah.
Like, she is not really on the same side that he thinks she is.
I mean, she's freaking part of the WEF. Everyone with any common sense knows that she's not centrist in the slightest.
And maybe he's working with her because that's a tight line. Like, they're everywhere. Like, WF is in everything. So maybe he has to a certain degree. But at the same time, though...
To be honest, I'd rather he get someone from the WEF, the WWF than the WEF.
I know, right? But it's just all the same. I get that that's the tight line he has to maybe walk, but it's not going to work for very long. And I'm not saying that from me. I'm saying that from Canadians up here, because our trucker event is kind of not even remotely like your January 6th. You know, it's not the same thing. And a lot of the people trying to talk on Twitter, they're brash. I'll own that one, because they're, you know, farmers are brash. Funny story. But a lot of those guys were at that event, you know, kind of like how you guys have a bunch of people in prison who honestly shouldn't be in the first place. We have that still going on up here. So it's not just you guys turning into a banana republic. It's also us. That's why I was really glad to hear that everyone was like, fuck you to the crazy lady in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Because we can't have everyone going banana republic at the same time.
It seems like guns is the idea too far for everybody. You know, there's a lot of pushback with kids and all that kind of stuff with woke ideology, and there's a lot of pushback there. And I think that's moving in a much better direction now. There's enough pushback where things are stopping. But I think when you start hitting guns, people are like, "Whoa, not the guns."
They already violated our rights to begin with, and I know that I'm saying that with you in mind, Hammer, because you have a freedom of assembly. You know, it's really clear cut for you guys. For us, we used to have a clear cut constitution, but Justin is shitting all over that. And the left up here is shitting all over that. It doesn't exist to them anymore. But for you guys, it's your bread and butter, and it has been since the get-go.
What I found over time with this is not that we have a constitution or they have a constitution. Everybody seems to have a constitution, but we do our constitution a little different. We say nothing, you can't do anything that violates this. And a lot of people don't seem to have that. They seem to treat their constitution the same as the law, where they could just change it as they see fit or ignore it entirely. Where our constitution is like, no. The courts said like right away on top of you, if you try to go against the constitution, that's an absolute no. So
it is actually a good setup. As much as people want to crap on it because it's complex, that's the reason it works. You can't just change it. They can't just do that. It has to be something where everyone is really
2/3 vote on the House and Senate. So you got to really want an amendment.
Yeah, but that's how it should be.
I
mean,
yes.
Something as important as your founding document, you don't want people just changing that, on a whim. You want to make it that there is a severe need in the country for the amendment, that everyone agrees that it's necessary before you go tinkering with it.
And the fact of the matter is, this is leading to things like, they really want these smart cities. They really want to be able to control where you are able to go. So the gun grab, of course they're going for the gun grab. I joked on another stream that was talking about it earlier about just doing a silent protest where everyone in New Mexico just walks around with their guns out. And they were like, well, we do that anyway. And I was like, well, there you go.
In Australia, to make an amendment to the Constitution, we need a double majority, which is 50% plus one of the population has to vote in favor of it, but also 50% plus one of the individual states need to have the majority. So not only does the country have to support it, at least half the states individually have to support it too. So
wow,
it's very, very rare that an amendment goes through. I think of the 40-something times they've tried, it's happened 8 times. It's pretty tough to get a referendum through.
When was the last time you had a change to your constitution?
I don't even remember. It might have. I don't know. I don't remember what happened with the gay marriage. I don't know if they actually changed the constitution over that. I know there was a referendum for it. Other than that, I don't think I don't remember. It's been a long time. I'm sure Cynic can tell us. He's probably a bit more up to date than me on that. But it's very, very rare for a referendum to actually succeed.
I quickly looked this up. Our last amendment, the 27th Amendment to the United States. I don't know if I'm reading the right thing here because I'm using Bing instead of Google as a search engine.
Take Bing seriously.
Yeah, but I already have all my browsers dedicated to the show, so I brought up Edge. It says as of 2022, the 27th Amendment is the last amendment that has been added to the Constitution. What do they mean by as of 2022? What did it pass in 2021 or something?
Yeah, I don't know. That seems to be what it's saying.
It sounds like it was. Let me bring up Edge and go to Google and see if it blows my machine up. Google.com. I use Edge so infrequently that I had to type the entire thing out. Google.com. I couldn't just type GO and hit enter.
Yeah, I never use Edge.
Date of 27th Amendment, right? That sounds right.
I use Brave for basically everything except streaming, which I have to use Chrome, because if I use Brave, then the audio doesn't work and like just causes problems. So.
According to Google, which of course they had the correct answer, originally proposed September 25th, 1789. Yeah, it's big. There's a big time period here. Ratified May 7th, 1992.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were thinking about it for a while.
a little bit.
A couple 100 years.
Well, you want to make sure you get the decision right.
I think this is the text of it. No law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. I have no idea what that means. Unless I guess everybody has had their say on it. I don't know how that's important. But anyway, so our last one was in 1992, and we're in 2023.
I think there should be an amendment to the Australian Constitution that just says no poofters.
Explain to our audience what a poofta is.
A gay man.
Okay. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's a reference to a Monty Python sketch. So the University of Woolloomooloo, they're going through the rules of the faculty. Rule 1, no poofters. Rule 2, no one is to be caught not drinking in bed after lights out. Rule 3, no poofters. Rule 4, no one is to mistreat the abos while anyone's looking. Rule 5, no poofters.
No poofters.
Rule 6, there is no Rule 6. Rule 7, no poofters.
See, I think the next amendment you should work on is the one that says that anyone who was working on the last amendment in 1989 to 1992 should no longer be working, because some of them are.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the age of our government.
Yes, across the board. I'm not ageist either. I mean, like, if you're not able to take a LIPDIS test and prove that you're cognitive, no, sorry. Biden, they're not wrong. Biden wouldn't be able to work in a McDonald's. He couldn't function.
It's, I heard that Biden is actually older than Clinton. So, like, a president from 20 years ago is younger than, like, the one that's currently president, which is, like, crazy if you think about it.
Well, Biden was in the Senate for, 30 some odd years before.
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying, like, the president from 20 years ago is younger than the current president, which is, like, insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the fact that you said that, and I was just like, was Nancy still there? Was, like, because I view half of the Dems and half of the Republicans as, like, Grim Reapers at this point. I'm like, how are you still alive? No offense.
They had a word with Keith Richards, and he told them the secret.
Right? Eating children. Clearly.
Must be. That's what I've heard.
Well, the deal is I understand there's old people, Feinstein and Pelosi, and I'm well aware of the ages of our crew, especially the ones that are in power. But it's not really. I mean, for those people, obviously age has had an impact on it. But I hate to see anything on paper that says you have to quit at this age. I'd rather say, okay, you're beyond this age, so you have to take regular competency checks.
Yes.
That would be much better, in my opinion.
Like, I don't believe in restricting everyone, but at the same time, though, like, there's a clear-on problem. Also, the corruption thing. Like, I'm glad that some people are still kind of pursuing Biden outright. Like, I liked some of the interviews that I saw recently, because it's not just Biden, and it's up here too. I'm well aware of the fact that, politicians are only supposed to make as much money as they're supposed to make. I'm not opposed to them making some deals on the side, because, people in high positions who are, you're going to get some deals making cereal, okay? But it shouldn't be walking away with so much money that you can tell that they were like, they're getting deals on the side that aren't legal in terms of what the government.
Everyone knows that.
Like, I'm tired of that stuff being ignored, because that's part of the reason why we're so corrupt.
But I actually have no problem with putting a maximum age on it. Like, you've got a minimum age. I don't see a maximum age as being any different.
Jack says in chat, show me a competency test decided by the government, and I'll show you a competency test that can be rigged. And you're right. So you don't have the government create the tests. You get a bipartisan.
And the rigging things is something Jack is an expert in. So take this one seriously.
Well, the thing about the competency test, you can kind of see the way Trump holds himself and the way Biden holds himself. Biden can't walk. He falls up steps. It's bad enough when you fall down the steps. Biden falls up the steps.
Yes.
And just the other day, I saw Trump golfing. All right. I don't think Biden can do that. And what Trump did was he realized it wasn't his shot, but he already had put his ball down on the tee. So he took his golf club and bumped the side of the tee, which caused the ball to roll off the tee onto the top flat part of the club. And then he flipped the club up in the air, balancing the ball on it until the ball came up in the air and landed in his hand. And he put the ball in his pocket. You think Biden could have done that?
Not a chance.
Yeah. So I don't want to say age, because Biden's only 2 years older than Trump.
No, I'm just saying, look, I'm not saying that as soon as you turn 70, you're a vegetable. I'm just saying that if you've got a minimum age, I don't see a maximum age as being any different. Like,
what's the reason for the minimum age?
To make sure that you've got enough experience, I guess.
Right, and you don't lose experience. Yeah, you don't lose experience as you get older, so it's not an equal thing.
I'm just saying that you want to restrict the age. I don't really have a problem with it, as long as the age is like appropriate. Don't set the age don't set the maximum age to 50. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
If the maximum age is like 75, I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah, but that would keep Trump out, and he's still well qualified to be in there.
No, but that's collateral damage that I'm okay with. It's like,
well, that's part of the lie that they're trying to push with Biden everywhere. Like, they try to have him riding bicycles everywhere when the guy clearly can't.
No, he can't.
And it's just like, okay, I was blessed to have my grandfather until he was 98. And he was bright up until 96. And then it was just the medical. He was in pain so much. So yeah, his brain wasn't going to be there. But Biden isn't cognitive. It doesn't matter if he's 65 or 42.
No. I mean, obviously there should be the mental faculties. Like, if there's evidence that you say you've had a stroke and you can't talk and you can't function, then yes, there should be a means to remove a president or any other politician that is literally medically unfit for the job. I'm just saying.
Well, that's the 25th Amendment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the 25th Amendment?
I don't know the number, but I know that you do have one.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
They're not going to do that because the Dems are playing dirty. But
if they said, you've got to be between, 35 is the minimum age, or is it 40?
35.
All right. So if they said 35 to 75 is your window, I mean, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's the want for the freedom thing, but it's just, it's also that it's clearly being used the way it is. Like, I don't like Biden. I will never like Biden. There is a sense of a little bit of a justice to how he's being treated right now. But at the same time, though, like, they're absolutely elderly abuse. It's elderly abuse in front of everybody. Like, we can't tell, and they can do that to anybody. Like, and they are. like how many Dems right now are basically puppets, like Crypt Keeper puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frosted says he wants to hear Trump sing "Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting." That could be interesting.
That'd be funny.
I just noticed. Hello, opinionated Scotsman. I
Hi,
just
Opie.
noticed he's in the chat. So yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, there would be some kind of indicator, some kind of test, something. I don't know what that would be. The only thing I could think of is a competency test, but there would be something that would be both physical and mental to test them if they're ready to lead the country or not. And if you get past a certain point, it becomes you have to take one every year.
Didn't Biden just walk off on one of his speeches saying, "I'm going to go to bed"?
The last thing I heard was he was on stage talking to an auditorium, and he started to wander, and his own handlers interrupted him, grabbed him, and took him off the stage.
No, I definitely heard like Biden was, I don't know if he was giving a speech or whatever, but he's mumbling along and then he goes, "I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed," and he just like walks off.
Wow.
I've been standing by this opinion since it happened, but I think Biden pooped his pants in front of now Queen Camilla. And I appreciate it that she handled it like a champ, because she was totally laughing at him.
Wow.
I'll send you the news article that I just found about him saying, "I'm going to go to bed." Hammer, I'll send it to you on Twitter. But
even more amazing if it was the middle of the day. It's the middle of the day, and I'm going to go to bed anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it was a press conference in Vietnam. That's what it says it was.
Oh yeah, I heard you did go to Vietnam. Is that a bus?
Yeah. There's a bus outside.
I'm going to take you away, haha.
Yeah.
Well, talk about Biden's getting me depressed, and I was in a good mood. You guys have anything else? It's 10 bells, so I don't know if you have anything else you want to go through.
No, I'm good.
Nothing of really great importance. I think I said, well, you know what? I'll repeat some of the stuff I said earlier during the early part of our stream that you guys have to go to Rumble to watch. But it's just letting people know about other people's streams, because I don't mind shilling for other folks. But Scribe is temporarily joining the AAA, and that's gonna be fun. Don't hold it against Polly. Don't hold it against the AAA guys.
No, this is a declaration of war. I now hate everyone involved.
You know, life just happens. Sometimes, you know, people just have schedules that aren't working at the moment. But
I demand blood.
Real life has priority.
But I'm happy for Scribe, because he's a great guy and he's fun to hang around, and he actually did a really good job tonight. So good job, Scribe. I also did catch a stream the other night with Monkey, and Jack's always there, and he had Satsu on. So I was like, I feel like I've had a little mini reunion, even though they weren't on the same stream.
Yeah.
Ty the Tuber.
Yeah, that's a weird name.
It is a weird name.
That's Satsu for you.
His icon is a potato, a talking potato with purple eyes.
That's Satsu.
I mean, I know, like he said his real name is Tyrone, so like, I get where
we know
Ty
his
the
name
Tuber is coming from.
Yeah,
but it's a dumb name.
I like it. It's got personality.
Yeah, it's got that. I'll give it that.
Anything else, Jen?
That was pretty much it. Yeah, that made my day having all that. And yeah, I saw Irate Alex too. He didn't talk about Shani either. It was great. I didn't have to hear horrors about fat shit doing nasty shit. Thanks, Alex.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get out of here then. And tonight's music is Bad Company. Thanks fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, Remember, the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Host and start times are linked in the description down below. Don't forget our pre-show on Rumble. That stream will start before 9, usually when all 3 hosts are here. We actually started a little late tonight, but that's because we were going through the music choices. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
everybody.